And so we're live on Facebook, and we'll be joining you off on YouTube in a second. Just stand by as we get this kickstart of the first ever Internet Party Update NZ policy stream live. We're going to talk to you about policies and where we're at. And to kick off this thing, I'll pass you over to Damon in just a second. And we are going live on Facebook in just a moment. Bear with me. On YouTube, you get it first because YouTube's awesome.
So are we live on YouTube right now?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
Okay.
We are live on YouTube, and we have 6 people watching us. Right, and I'm waiting for Zoom to catch up. Update policy, blah, blah, blah. Who should see this in my group? Yeah, if you're watching this on the recording, I'm using OBS, and it's my first time. It's always a first time with the Internet Party. We lead the way. And here I am trying to share it with the wrong group because we have a page, not a group. See, I'm so onto it as the Internet Party Technical Director. We are now going live on Zoom. Passing you over to Damon here for the first ever Internet Party live policy stream on Facebook.
Hey guys, how's it going? So in today's session, I believe we're looking at is we're just going to go through the Internet Party Policy Incubator, as well as go through some threads on there and discuss some positions, both amongst ourselves as well as with the chat. And the idea with the incubator is we want to be socially inclusive. So what that means is that we have our own discussions, then we look at what the member base thinks, and then we kind of talk with everyone, and then we form our positions.
It's an awesome
So
way
should
to
we start
run.
that now? Yeah. Is our mic okay?
You're good.
You're sounding fine to me, Damon, and we have 6 people watching us live on Facebook, and at least, hold on, another 5 on YouTube. And this is awesome. We're simulcasting for the first ever time. We're doing both at once. It's like running and walking at the same time.
Sweet.
Cool.
Just
So
so excited.
on the stream today, we have me, Susie. How's it, everyone? And we have Damon, who's chair of our policy committee. We have Joe, our tech director, who's just done the intro for us. And we have one of our other tech volunteers in here helping us out as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask us and we'll get to them ASAP. And right now, Damon's going to take us through the policy incubator.
Yep. Should I share my screen now?
Yeah, go for it. Yep. Get those shares happening. The way this works is you'll see Damon talking in the corner of the screen, I'm hoping. And it should be the same effect for you on YouTube land. If not, I will switch over because I'm a master of all technologies. I will beat it.
Okay.
Do you want to just zoom in on that page a little bit so that you just got the page rather than all the sidebars and bit? Control zoom. And we're all standing by watching you happen. Yeah.
So is
awesome.
That zoomed in enough?
That's looking great. Fantastic.
Okay, cool. So in our policy incubator, the first thread we have is the introduction thread. So this is really good if you want to introduce yourselves. So a couple people have done that already. And yeah, I'm just tick yes, and then you can introduce yourself. And this is a good way to let us know who you are, what you're interested in, and so forth.
Certainly my intention for that was that people would say more than
and
yes.
And then through
each
of these,
say all about who they were and what they were into. But yeah, it's good to see some of that.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want to know what the member base wants out of us and what they feel about the current issues. And through here, these are all of the positions that have been proposed and all of the threads. So basically, I believe that any member can start a thread. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. We're all about equal participation, so anyone can start a thread. You just hit that big orange sort of button up the top that says new thread over there.
So you can either ask for a decision or you can create a discussion point. And once we come to an agreement on a discussion point, we create a decision.
Yeah, you can.
Decision straight up, then we go ahead and vote on that. And if the decision is agreed upon, then we create a draft policy. And everyone has an opportunity to contribute to that draft policy. And then we push it through the policy committee to proof the draft, back to the membership to adopt the policy. So you can be a part of, you can propose a policy, you can vote on a policy, you can be a part of drafting a policy and submitting research and links about that policy. And then you get a final say too in whether that policy is adopted by the party.
Yes, so you can either ask us to make the position on the thread, or you can actually do it yourself if you'd like. So I believe joining Lumio, so does one apply and then we approve?
Yes, so currently, historically, our Lumio has been members only, but we're certainly opening it up to the world because we value all of your inputs. So yes, apply and you should be accepted almost straight away. It helps if you tell us why you want to be part of the policy thing, just so we get an idea of what policies you're into. But yes, certainly check in with us on the right hand side. That check in is the first thing you'll see, and say hi there, and then find your way around. I suppose, Damon, you can probably talk to the tags, the brightly coloured things that appear on most of the posts. And I'm just wanting to check, for example, if you click on Susie's post there about policy development in cryptocurrencies and blockchains, or that one, just see if you, click on one of them and see if you can tag up the top. There should be a little tag symbol up the top of the thread.
Sorry, I fail at tagging.
Yeah, I know you all do. That's why I'm trying to encourage it. And I'm hoping it's open to all. So if you go all the way up to the top, there you go. So we've got so many different policy areas, and they're all given a color based on how awesome they are. So disaster resiliency or Christchurch, that's going to be red, right? Red and black. Economy, green for the money. Environment, even greener because the environment's green. Education, all those yellowed books, whatever that one is. I'm pretty sure if it's pretty cool. Government's that nice blue, purple for party, green for tech. Where it's all nicely coloured. And once you click on one, if you can find one, probably economy for that one, it should just jump back down. And tag it.
So if I click it?
Click it.
Or,
yep. Sorry.
So click it. I'm trying to.
It's not that usable, is it? Depends on your browser, I suppose.
Does it have to be the person who made the posts and that does it?
It's a good question. I don't think so. Internet party. Lumio.com.
Or do you have to have like special
superpowers? I don't think so. No, see, you've got the little tag symbol, so that means that you can do tags. So I will show you how it's done on my end. If you just give me 1 second, I will share my screen and ditch you off the island. Sorry, it's a bad.
Survivor, the politics version. You have to take. Am
I on the right screen? What the heck screen did I just share? Bear with me. I'm not sure. It was that one. All right, you get a billion other tabs with me. We're in the policy committee, right, Damon? That's where we're meant to be.
No, we're in the incubator.
Oh, we're in the incubator.
We're just
right.
going to the general stuff at the moment.
Yep, cool. So, if you're like me and you join far too many groups on Lumio, GovHacks and buying Twitters and all sorts, it's the big purple one that says Internet Party Policy Incubator, and under there's a bunch of subheadings, including some of our international sectors who are doing. There is a few other Lumios around, Pirate Party, yeah, you name it, but we're the most awesome one, right?
Cool.
And so, for example, when you click into one of these posts, if there isn't already a tag, what we're encouraging you to do is tag it. So if you come along here and you find one of these, so France wants to, what is it, international, and
it's not international policy though. So in terms of policy, it would just be like economy again, I would imagine.
How boring.
Environment, because we're looking for a clean solution.
I think we've actually come across a Lumio bug. I really love it when this happens because I'm getting exactly the same thing as you. When I click on it, nothing happens. So in theory, once Lumio actually sort out this bug, which is now live on the internet, they'll know all about it, then you can click on one of these and you end up with one of these lovely tags, like so, and clicking on a tag, you see this little link here will take you to all the policies, in this case marked health. So you can just scroll through all the policies and you can see there's a close link with health, criminal justice, and marijuana reform, for example. If you click through to tech, you start to get a slightly different view of the world. So there's a very colourful one. So I'll pass you back to Damon, who can continue the show.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, that's the thing with the tags, and the idea is that we want people to discuss things. So this is the place where we have a lot of discussions, and any positions that pass, we do actually consider. So I think one example of one was this one here, I think. So there was two, actually, there were two. There's one here, which didn't pass, and this is on including an immigration referendum, immigration position. Now, this one didn't pass. There were 3 agree, 4 disagree, and 2 abstain. So that didn't make it to onto the policy committee. However, not that one. Oh, yeah. There was one that did pass, and it was this one. So researching the maximum population. So because this one did pass, this will go to the policy committee.
That was quite an interesting discussion, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So I think the agreement was that we would actually research it, and there was actually a position we would take, is that we would research it to determine the maximum sustainable population that we can hold.
Yeah, and as you can see here, we're keen to grow how many of the members and how many of the public participate in these. 1% of our members have stated their position on this, and certainly democracy involves all of you. So certainly wade in on here and get your voice heard, because the more diversity we have, the more we can find unity in our diversity. That's what we do at university, don't we?
Yeah, that's the idea with democracy, is that we want everyone to participate, and it really helps if everyone does, because and then it means that we know that this is at the very least representative of the member base that we have. And 1%.
Yeah, 1%.
Yeah.
We want 5, right? We want 5 for the internet party, so let's try. A question from our YouTube.
I mean, says here 1% of members have stated.
Yeah. I know. Why? A question from our chat. Why are you in favour of tertiary education when it is regressive and shown to lower enrolment? It's always good to have people asking the hard questions. So,
why are we in favour of tertiary?
I don't think our position is that we're in favour of it. There's certainly
tertiary education. So the belief from Idiom Maxim is that tertiary education is regressive and it lowers enrolment. I'm assuming.
Lowers enrolment in what?
Oh, he's talking about free tertiary education.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right.
Yeah, free tertiary education is regret. There you go. He's clarified it in a later way.
So we straight to the tough questions already?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I'll happily answer to that, Damon, if you like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, free tertiary education is something that always was provided in New Zealand. It's something that was enjoyed by pretty much all of the existing cabinet ministers, all of the people in Parliament right now who have a politics degree or whatever else, more than likely didn't pay a cent for that degree. So it is something that each generation of New Zealanders did not have to pay for. Now, the reason for that, and this is something not many people realise, is that free education and free healthcare actually are fundamental human rights. They are universally recognised human rights. And you will see that all of the countries that have got free education and have got free healthcare are actually at the top of the social statistics in the developed world. So especially the Scandinavian countries and other countries like that, which consistently rank above us, they do tend to have free healthcare and free education. Even here in Russia, there is free education. There are people here who've just finished their master's degree and didn't have to pay for it, so long as they performed well in their course and passed and got their marks high enough to pass their courses. So I believe our position was decided in 2014 that yes, we do support free tertiary education. What we particularly don't support is students studying for 3 or 4 years and then coming out owing more money than it would cost them to put a deposit on a house. And in specific fields, they can end up owing $200,000 or $250,000 when they come out of university. And not only that, but there are a lot of students who are struggling to eat or to even remain housed. The student allowances that they get from the government are way below the minimum cost of living. So we just don't think that the current generation should have to struggle in the ways that previous generations did not. Also, I would point out that spending $20 billion on our military in New Zealand and then denying education to people makes no sense whatsoever. So the money clearly does exist. It just needs to be repurposed from elsewhere. So that's my take on it. I'm sure, Damon, as a student, you've probably got other opinions as well.
Yeah.
Just a question from Facebook.
Let me just think.
Yeah, go for it, Blake.
Tangi Y asks, where do you stand on cannabis reform?
That's a very easy question to answer. Most of the member base is in support of it, I believe. We had that policy in 2014, didn't we?
Yeah, Blake, could someone please link to the relevant policies into the Facebook and into the YouTube? That would be really helpful. In fact, I think we can make you a moderator so that you can do that. Because there is an existing policy document for free tertiary education that you can read and review. And there's also one around our cannabis policy.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so internet.org.nz/policies is a good kickoff point, and just search in there and you'll find it fairly high up the list.
Yeah, the cannabis one, we did that in 2014, and now I believe this year the government has sort of, I suppose, implemented that. Is that right?
Wow, there's certainly a lot of talk about it.
So have they done that yet, or check that?
Yeah.
Just because I do remember that some of the policies we did in 2014 have actually been implemented. And that happens sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to see that the rest of the world thinks the same as us. The rest of the New Zealand and certainly internet parties, not the... we don't own the good ideas. We let them free out to the world. Anyone can implement our good ideas. Even if we don't come into government, we urge you to think different, make it awesome.
This is the true power of the internet party.
Yeah.
Is that the media tells us that the measure of our success is with how many votes we get or how much funding. I mean, I got told openly in an interview the other day, well, you didn't get $3 million this year, so maybe you're not so relevant. It's not actually about money, and it's not even about the votes. Yes, we want you to vote for us. Yes, you should vote for us because we're real people and we want to make real change. But when we create new policies and put forward new ideas, like these live streams, for example, like our releasing of all of our strategic documents, when we do these groundbreaking things that other people haven't done, they follow suit. The other parties follow suit and the government follows suit. So now you see Peter Dunn's recommendation has been accepted by the Parliament Select Committee around decriminalisation of marijuana. So that was a policy that we were openly ridiculed. We were raked over the coals for having that policy in 2014. And now it's almost, close to a sure thing that it will eventually be adopted by the government. So what people get laughed at for thinking or talking about in 1 year, in future years becomes policy and has a societal impact. So what we are doing here isn't about 5% or 10% or 15% or 20%. It's about putting ideas out to the public that have not been put out to them before and getting the exposure for them so that we can help to change the way that people think. And it's literally to update New Zealand, to update our laws, to update our policies, to update our parliamentary system and our political environment. Blake, have you got anything else for us, or we push it back to Damon to keep going through the decisions?
Well, I'll just go through the decisions quickly because there's not much else to go through. So I'll just do that quickly, and then we'll go to the questions and have our discussions with the audience. So yeah. Decisions that are made by the public, we do consider. So, for example, this one here, this will actually go to the committee, and we will form a position based on this here. And is there anything else you need to talk about?
I'd like to take people through one by one. If you want to pass host back to me, I'd like to go through the particulars.
Yeah.
And also the types of ideas that people have shared.
Yeah, of course.
You are now host.
So I'll stop sharing on my end.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyone can share in this. It's just only one can share at a time.
Okay, here we go.
It's like a talking stick. And I've currently got the talking stick. And then Susie now has it.
And I'm driving, watch out. Here we go. I'll see better. So actually over here we should be able to see decisions, right? Okay, so we've been through the blockchain stuff. So now this is something we've received tons of questions about, and it's still an open decision. So there's another 4 days for people to go and have their say about it. So I've easily had at least 6 people ask me on Twitter, do you have blockchain policy? Do you have cryptocurrency policy? And people are constantly sending me links. It's great to send me links, but it's even better to come to the Lumio and to put those links onto the relevant thread so that everybody can research it. Everyone can read the articles, everyone can access the information that you're trying to share with us. So if you care about cryptocurrencies and blockchain and the development of that policy in New Zealand, please jump on the Lumio. You can get there through our website, internet.org.nz, and have your say. Just dump your research links, your opinions into there. Now, the really big one that I want to talk about, because I think this is going to be a big deal. I think it's going to be a really big deal, actually. So we came across the information that France is instrumental in a few of our launch policies actually are related to things that have already been successfully implemented in France. So this one is that France wants to ban petrol and diesel vehicles. They want to ban them by 2045. So I think that's a pretty long time frame myself. I think it should be a lot shorter. That's my personal feeling about it. But so we put up this discussion thread for, do people think that New Zealand should also look to ban petrol and diesel and have mandate full uptake of electric cars or, any form of cleaner energy than petrol and diesel? So the discussion was pretty spirited. A lot of people had a lot to say about it. So it's definitely interesting to jump on that thread and to see what people are talking about. They're talking about how do we have enough power source? How are we going to charge all of these cars? How are people going to afford it? Are we going to need to convert our actual roads into, there's all kinds of different ideas in there. So go through and have a look. It's pretty awesome, futuristic stuff. So then we had our vote on it. And overwhelmingly, people said that, yes, we should ban diesel and petrol vehicles in the long term. So now that that has been done, and you can see people, when they cast their vote, people actually put what their specific opinion is as well, as to why they agree or why they disagree, or why they're abstaining from it. So now what will happen is that we'll go into the policy committee. And we will begin to draft a policy that says that, yes, New Zealand should move away from petrol and diesel vehicles and move to electric. Then all of our policies are based on research. So there has to be facts and research links and supporting evidence for everything that is in our policy documents. If you go and look at our existing policies, you will see very clearly that all of them are annotated with the research links on which the findings were based on. So once all that research has been done, there will be a draft copy of the policy. That draft policy will be approved by the committee and go back into the incubator. Go back to the membership. Membership can read the draft. They can contribute changes or propose changes to the draft. Then they will vote to adopt the draft policy. At that point, it will get final approval from policy committee, and then it will be published on our website as a published 2017 Internet Party policy. So if you particularly care about these issues, especially around environment or around transport, definitely jump on and have your say. Oh, I think that's it from me. Okie dokie. So, are there any other pending decisions? Do you know, Damon?
Pending decisions.
Aside from cryptocurrencies? One other one I'll just point out that we did recently is the net neutrality. So in 2014, we had agreed that net neutrality was an issue for us and that we wanted to support the US movement to retain net neutrality. And our social media accounts and social media platforms had been used to promote the net neutrality movement. So this year, those who are working on Aaron's Law, which is inspired by Aaron Schwartz, and the supporters include his own mother, have been working again on the campaign to preserve net neutrality in the United States. So we had some discussion around, do we still support this? Do we still want to act in solidarity with the US movement? And we discovered two things. First of all, yes, everybody did want us to be in solidarity with that and to use our platforms to promote it on the July 12th action. So we did participate in those, in the sharing of the information online. But also it was raised that there is a different context for New Zealand ISPs versus the US ISPs, where US ISPs are basically four major giant corporate conglomerates. in New Zealand, we do have a bit more, we still have major ISPs that are corporate international companies, but we also have some smaller ones. So we wanted to look for a more diverse policy for New Zealand. So we agreed that we would develop a policy specific to New Zealand around net neutrality going forward. Cool. Are there any other questions from you guys?
I think someone did ask the $1 million question before. How will we fund free tertiary education? And I think in 2014, what we did was we looked at other policies that parties did. So actually, I can bring that on my screen. Actually, I'll do that.
Back to the previous question, the Idiom Maxim was asking in YouTube if this would ban ISPs from blocking ads. Once again, I don't quite get the question, but certainly, would this ban ISPs from blocking ads?
Is that to do with the net neutrality one?
Yeah, net neutrality, yeah. So would ban them from blocking ads? Maybe they do. It's an interesting thought. Certainly, I'm a keen proponent of the New Zealand policies that have been developed over the years. I founded a company, Meshnet, which was helped form some of these policies along with Internet NZ back in the day. 3 or 4 years ago, when we first heard net neutrality and wanted to head it off before it came to New Zealand and took over all us small ISPs. So it's great to see Internet Party developing a more nuanced policy that takes into account the need for equality for all, and also takes it in solidarity and support with the just frightening monopolies that happen around the world, especially in the US. Anyway, over to you, Damon.
Which question we're on to? So we're talking about the net neutrality.
You were loading up something.
Oh, yeah.
And I've forgotten what it is now.
So
that'll teach me.
I was loading up the free tertiary education policy that we have, and I might scroll through that.
Yep, go for it.
So, okay, so someone did ask how we fund it, right? Basically, we were going to fund free tertiary education instead of proposed tax cuts. So National was planning to basically cut taxes quite a bit and cut certain taxes down. And what we said was, instead of that, we'll use the money that we would have lost and fund free tertiary education that way. And I still think National is planning to do that. Though, I guess the question is whether they plan to follow through with it. Like, did National follow through with those tax cuts? 2014?
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is our 2014 policy, which is currently going through the policy committee for ratification and renewal for 2017. So certainly some of these stats and things are from a bygone era, and I'm sure that we're now spending. I'm sure we've got more debt. Students haven't made it any easier for them. So, yeah, let's get a few students in our incubator contributing to this policy, and let's get a few people that are paying taxes that have had a student loan contribute their ideas as well. It's all about what you think, and we can make it happen.
Yeah,
we really can.
Definitely, if you have an interest in a topic or expertise in a topic, this is your chance to come and share that expertise with us. Don't just sit back and expect us to know what you know. Come and tell it to us. Sorry, let's fix my video. don't expect us to just know things. Like, we are what you guys tell us, and the extent of your participation. So if you really care about an issue, champion it. If we haven't got a policy you want us to have, start the discussion thread for the policy. If you want to change an aspect of a policy that we have that's existing, table a proposal for us to change that aspect of it. In terms of paying for things, personally for me, the 20 billion that went to the military was a real game changer, because that 20 billion is enough for almost everything. Almost all of the social problems that we have, all of the social services that have been cut, can be easily funded from that money. So in my opinion, no more buying aging aircraft, military aircraft, that we end up just paying maintenance on and sit in some airfield somewhere. No more buying bombs and weaponry. No more supporting unjust, illegal wars. Take that money and give it to the people who need it, and provide the services that we should have that are basic human rights in New Zealand.
That's really awesome. Chris asks in the YouTube, what's our opinion on KiwiSaver funds still investing in weapons manufacturers?
I personally think that's appalling. And I've recently, and this is going to be the first that you've ever heard from me about this, but I have been passed some information that there is in fact depleted uranium tipped weapons that have been transported through New Zealand, which is a total and complete violation of our nuclear-free policy. So we think that we're nuclear-free. We have these marches and these actions, which we rightfully should, over whether there's nuclear ships, surreptitiously coming into New Zealand for the big celebration that we had recently, the military celebration. We are not nuclear-free if there is depleted uranium weapons in New Zealand. We are not nuclear-free if they're being shipped through our territory. Please mute the mic, Damon. Thank you. It is a complete and utter violation of not only the law, but also of the will. It's a subversion of the will of New Zealanders. We do not want nuclear materials of any description being shipped through our country, and we don't want our hands blackened by these deals that are going on. And when you start to add information like that together with information from the Panama Papers and New Zealand being used as a tax haven, and the types of shell companies that were being set up and were involved in dealings in New Zealand. And then you add that together with the information about the KiwiSaver funds also investing in companies that are related to these issues, then you paint a huge picture of epic corruption really quickly. So depleted uranium weaponry being shipped through New Zealand is something that I plan on making a very big stink about in the coming months, because I think it is completely unacceptable at all levels. That is my personal opinion. It hasn't gone through the incubator yet, but that is my take on your question.
Yeah, I mean, I can explain a lot about KiwiSaver. I mean,
Go for it.
like my undergraduate, I did in finance, and the thing about KiwiSaver, well, the first thing is, like, unrelated to the question, is that banks and a lot of these finance companies, they like KiwiSaver because they can take a lot of fees. So I think there are a couple of papers out there, and I will post them in the Lumio thread at some point, is that the fees that these banks take on KiwiSaver is tremendous. There's a lot of huge fees that these companies take. And the second thing is, yeah, I mean, at the very, very least, I think with the KiwiSaver is that investors should be allowed to opt in for something known as ethical investing. And what that means is that these investors only put money into, I guess, companies and businesses that are that do good, right? So, for example, not investing into smoking companies, not investing into suppose legal drug companies. That's one, and definitely not investing into nuclear arms and weaponry. Like if people actually knew that, I guess they may even change their KiwiSaver provider. And yeah, I suppose at least maybe a position we could put down is that investors have the option to, I suppose, opt in for ethical investing. That is one thing we could do. All right.
Cool.
Yep, Joe, say something?
No. Sounds good. So yeah, Chris says excellent. Thanks, Susie. And he looks forward to joining our policy Lumio and sharing his opinions. There's some great tags there for international stuff for immigration, and I think this year we've got a fairly wide policy thing. Hey Susie, do you have your slide on all the different policy areas?
The documents, yeah, they're sitting in the policy committee and in the semaphore, but I can also screen share them if you'd like me to talk through them.
Do you want to just talk through how much we've expanded our policy areas this year? Because I think it's a really good move.
Just give me a minute. Just if you want to keep chatting for a minute, I'll dig out the docs and then I'll screen share. And cool.
There's quite a bit of discussion now in the YouTube about depleted uranium. Yeah.
Good. I have a ton of links that I'm sitting on and a ton of information about that I'm waiting to share. I think the New Zealand public has made very clear historically and in the current generation that they do not agree with being any part of that whatsoever. And I think it's pretty clear where the agenda to subvert that, the will of the people, has come from. First of all, with Don Brash and his Gone by Lunchtime. Is it Don Brash or John Banks? I'm pretty sure it was Don Brash, wasn't it? That the nuclear-free policy would be gone by lunchtime. And then sure enough, National saying, oh, people don't mind so much anymore. Well, I'm telling you for free, people mind a lot. And we do not support having anything to do with nuclear weapons whatsoever.
Yeah, like I sometimes joke about nukes and I say that, well, what's the point in nuking a country because you want something to rule, don't you? One thing
that's
I
one
say sometimes.
Perspective, eh? Yeah. Hey, I was just thinking, because I'm such a geek, we're live on Facebook, right? And you've got all these things where you can make all these cool little like symbols and hearts and things flow across the screen. Do you want to just do a storm of them? Because that'd be awesome to see on our live stream. It's like hit the love button for us, or probably the angry button, because we're not quite up to your standards.
So on the Facebook comments, Hayden asked, why don't we just crank up the tax on tobacco products and alcohol? And I presume that's related to the free tertiary education funding. He also asked about if there's any Kim.com money left, but I think that's been answered previously.
We'd certainly like to. Go on, Susie. You can do this.
Okay, so recap. What was the first question? I got the Kim question. What was the first one?
Why? I think this was regarding the free tertiary education funding, and it was, why don't we just crank up the tax on tobacco products and alcohol?
I think that I don't know particularly about alcohol personally because I don't actually drink, to be honest. But certainly, I think the tobacco tax has gone about as high as it can, and that the government already has don't they already have a plan to go smoke free by 2025?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure, last I heard. And
certainly,
also,
I think that's Auckland's plan there.
Disproportionately affects those who already can't afford it, and those who can afford it just don't really care. So I think that probably I'd be more in favour of taxing the $20 billion extra military budget than imposing further taxes on poor and disenfranchised people. I mean, they already have had to go through the GST hike. They already have declining and falling incomes, household incomes. We already have massively rising inequality. So when you impose taxes on that, it tends to come from the bottom of the economy and not from the top end of the economy. So I'm more interested in what billionaires can do to fund social services in New Zealand and education in New Zealand than I am interested in what beneficiaries can do to fund it, to be honest with you. So we can like have the argument about lifestyle choices, et cetera, all that we like, but I think the lifestyle choices of those who, you know, have billions of dollars are probably also up for debate, and not just those who are struggling. I mean, we have situations now where people with whole families that have, you know, mother and father in minimum wage jobs can't afford a house, can't afford to feed themselves, can't afford to put their kids through school. And to me, that's just completely unacceptable. And we have seen the social services cuts of these agencies like the Rape Crisis Centre. Why on earth we would take money away from counselling for rape victims and give money to the military, I will never understand. Well, I do understand it, sadly, but it's been done to benefit the wrong people. So we have disastrous mental health services in New Zealand. We have money being taken away from the people who have the biggest problems that affect us the most. They get the least money and the least services. And then we have billionaires buying super yachts for a couple $100 million a piece, and we're wondering how we can put people through university, or how we can stop them graduating university and owing a couple $100,000 to the government. So it's pretty clear to me where the money needs to come from to fund this stuff. I don't think that just tobacco and alcohol will do that for us. Okay, I do have those docs now. So yet again, these documents that I'm about to show you are 2017 campaign documents. They are the type of documents that no other political party would ever dream of releasing to you, let alone in this format. They are not complete. They're currently being worked on, but we will show them to you in the interest of transparency. We will allow you to access this information and to see what it is that we're up to and what we're doing. So here we go.
And so what you'll see here, we've gone through several revisions of, and of course I took this document and made them all colourful because I like colours. I'm such a geek.
I've got some colours.
and if you want to know how I came up with the colours, I just typed the policy thing into Google and then zoomed out on the image search and picked what the average colour was. You know, so education is obviously that icky sort of yellowy brown thing.
And
anyway,
if you want to,
carry on.
I keep showing up off my cup. Sorry, we're just going to have a non-commercial break here. No, we have not been paid any money for this advertisement. I am drinking from a Courage Foundation mug. You can get one of these at couragefound.org. And if you do that, you will be helping to support whistleblowers, the most under threat whistleblowers in the world. So go to Courage Found, order yourself a coffee mug or a t-shirt or a book bag or all the other cool stuff that I've got. And then I'll be very pleased with you. Very pleased with you for doing so. Okay, here we go.
Approval. Awesome.
You get my seal of approval if you go and buy a coffee mug from Courage Found. They are really good people. They do amazing, amazing work. So please support them. Okay, so we have here, this is just, this was us deciding which of our portfolios would come under which heading on the policy tab, for the policy tabs on our webpage. So here we go. The text, if we start with the key, the text in black is the pre-existing published policies as per 2014 policy portfolios. The text in orange is where we're suggesting that some issues which are part of a policy from a 2014 portfolio could be developed into a policy all of its own if there's enough interest in it, because they're big enough topics. Some things in 2014 were lumped in together. Multiple issues are covered in one policy document. So this was just pointing out that we have the opportunity to extract those and create full policies. However, we have such a massive policy workload that it might not happen in 2017, but it might be something that we look at for 2020. So, in text in red are brand new policies that have not yet been introduced to the incubator. So these are things that we will be picking out and discussing in the incubator before we decide to develop the policies on them. And then text in blue is portfolios that the government currently has, which Internet Party has not yet developed policies surrounding. So we wanted to look at those areas and say, do we have something to say on these topics? Is this something that we should look at? So this slide and the next one are just to show the key policies for each portfolio. So in purple is the portfolio, and then underneath it is the policy, and that's what the key reflects through the colours. So for example, criminal justice. So we had, in 2014, we had a policy around rehabilitation support. We had a policy that we wanted a sentencing review panel to review some of the sentencing decisions that are being made. We also decided that we wanted to look at, and again, this has not been through the incubator yet, so this is not an established policy at all. We wanted to look at the possibility of reinstating the Privy Council, and we wanted to reinstate the rape crisis funding and the rape support services in New Zealand. For health, we have what we just discussed, the medical marijuana policy and electronic records. Access, it's not just electronic records, it's providing the public access to their own electronic health records by default, so that you don't have to wait and see what someone's written about you in your health record. You can actually have a copy of it at all times and be a part of managing that health record.
Real-time patient-curated health records. I participated in a hackathon recently trying to bring it in with SNOMED and ITSDO, and it's fantastic to see some government support towards adopting international standards here and starting to make it happen. These are the ministries, not the government with the little, the other G that you try and not to elect. But the ministries are really making some great strides forward. So let's make it happen even more. It's been 15, 20 years of talking about bringing it. And I think the tech is at the stage now where we can have our own patient-curated records. Slight disclaimer, I'm the CTO of a healthcare startup as well.
And this is part of a general trend for Internet Party, which is that we want to give you back the management of your own data, the access to your own data, and the ability to manage your own data. We want to decentralize that as much as possible and not just have the citizens' data under centralized government control. So that's an ideological thing for us, is we believe that you should own your data and not the government. The government might need to access some of your data, or you might give approval to the government to access your data, but you should manage it, you should administrate it, you should have the say over it. And then, of course, we also looked at the idea of having public insurance, because we're sick of people getting charged $80 or $100 because they had to call an ambulance. It's absolutely crazy that the most basic services that we rely on for life require money. Everything requires money. And at the same time, the government is funded by the public. So it's kind of like they take with one hand and then they take with the other hand as well. And we're just trying to even that out a bit in the favor of the public. So then it is broken down, I think, by each individual portfolio. Right, so governance portfolio. So again, in black is what is already up on our policy page on our website. In red are things that we considered looking at. So again, crowdsourced constitution. We have said many times that we are working with the international pirate parties, and as many people know, in Iceland, they adopted a crowdsourced constitution. So the public collaboratively wrote a constitution for the country, and then that was put forward to the government. So we're wondering, should we be doing the same thing in New Zealand? Should New Zealanders be writing a crowdsourced constitution? We also looked at binding referendums, because we do believe that when the public makes a decision, that decision should be respected by the government. So did we want to look at adopting binding referendums as a policy? Also, issue-based e-voting, trying to give the public more of a voice than once every 3 years. It is not just about this election, this vote. It is about empowering people to make decisions and to have a say in their country on a much more regular basis than once every 3 years. In Switzerland, I know that they can vote almost on every single bill or every single issue. In Estonia, they have digital e-voting already, and people are able to have a say as well. They don't have to go physically to a poll office. They don't have to wait for once every 3 years. So there are other countries that are already approaching these issues, and we were wondering if maybe we should be as well. I think we should be. But again, that will have to go back through the incubator and through the development process. So then, what's next? Economy, we want to look at supporting cooperatives. So we have like Lumio is a classic example of this. And some of you, if you've seen Kiwi in Moscow on YouTube, it's a series, web TV series I've been doing. I interview one of the co-founders of Lumio, and we talk about what's going on with cooperatives in New Zealand, specifically tech cooperatives. So tech cooperatives are quite amazing. All cooperatives are quite amazing, but some of them are not so cooperative, and some of them are very, very, very cooperative. And so we're thinking this is a really good business model that we would like to support, is cooperative societies in New Zealand, and to encourage them. So cooperative funding is about in what ways can the government support cooperative businesses. Cooperative businesses being where workers are not just employees, but where they are managers and owners of the company that they work for, and where the profits of the company are distributed amongst, this is similar to the credit unions, where the profits are distributed amongst all of the owners and operators of the company. So we also need to have a look at the budget, obviously, and no asset sales. This is something we feel really strongly about in Internet Party. We do not believe in selling state assets. So historically, when state assets are sold, they are asset stripped, they are fire saled, the individual components are broken apart, then they're sold for much more than the original asset was purchased for. And then they are run into the ground, and then they're sold back to the government. And the government ends up paying more money for the remaining shell of the company than they sold it for in the first place. So asset sales have historically been a complete disaster in New Zealand. And as part of this whole neoliberal economic theory that has been wrecking our country since the 80s. So we want to put an end to that. No more asset sales. The public needs to own the critical infrastructure of our own country. We cannot rely on external companies or even internationally owned companies to provide critical infrastructure to our country, or we are putting our citizenry at risk of not being able to access those services, or having inferior services, or paying too much money for those services.
Also, I just want to say, with no asset sales, the government needs money to fund programs and all that, right? And the way we get that money is there's two ways. Either from the assets that we own that provides us money, or through taxes. So if New Zealand sells its assets, the only way that we can get further funding is from taxes, which means that we'll have to raise them. So ensuring that we own our assets.
And how they offset. And how they offset the lost income from the sale of the assets is by increasing the public debt and the international debt. So we end up having less money, owing more money, and not owning or being in control of our critical infrastructure. Like if you look, when I keep saying critical infrastructure, what I'm talking about is 30 years ago, like we owned our rail, we owned our transport systems, we owned our water, we owned our electricity, we owned our telephone companies, we owned all of these different things. I mean, we even owned like our council event centres, which are now public-private partnership. You have things like the Edge in Auckland, RTS Square, which is privately, like is public, they call it public-private, so you feel better about the fact that a foreign entity or a commercial corporate company has got their fingers in the pie. But we're even selling council buildings. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. We lost TVNZ to the same thing. And the quality of service always degrades. The institution becomes politically corrupted. and they sell off everything that's worth any money. And then eventually when the house of cards comes crashing down, they sell it back to the government. So it's a total scam. And I mean, I have personally some really serious concerns about KiwiSaver. And my concern about KiwiSaver isn't about superannuation, because I believe that we should have superannuation. I believe we should support people in their elderly years, especially when they've been working their entire lives. However, again, historically, what has happened to previous schemes, to the money in the New Zealand insurance companies and the government insurance companies, to the previous superannuation schemes after World War II. There were soldiers who came back from World War II who were promised, you don't worry, you have this nest egg in the bank, you have this superannuation, this retirement fund, everything's going to be fine, you're financially secure, here you get a free state house, here we do this, that, and other thing for you. And fast forward 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they all got screwed. Also, I know when we went from the pound sterling to the New Zealand dollar, same thing, massive devaluation of the funds. So we get told, oh, sorry, the fund lost money, or, oh, sorry, we've had to devalue the fund, or whatever it is. At the end of the day, you end up with either less money than you're supposed to have in there, which, I mean, this is very similar to what happened to the 401ks in America. This is a problem across the entire Western world. They tell you you're putting money into this fund because you're strengthening the economy and you're getting something, you're creating a nest egg for yourself. And then one way or another, they degrade the value of it, or they take it entirely and you never see a penny. So that's the bigger issue for me around KiwiSaver is, will people actually have access to those funds? Will they be able to use those funds for what they are for? And definitely there's obviously a very valid concern that's already been proved to be the case around mismanagement of those funds and where the money is being put into, and are they being ethically invested? And do people agree with supporting weapons companies and defense companies and funding war? So those are all the issues I personally have with KiwiSaver. But generally, the principle of saving and investing in your future and strengthening the economy is a good one. But unfortunately, governments tend to use that as a piggy bank. They tend to use the savings of the population as a piggy bank. And I personally don't trust them to do that, nor do I trust the private sector to do it. So again, I think it needs to be more decentralized. Imagine if those funds were held with the individuals that were investing them and were just like a term deposit that you can't access until whatever date. Like, that would make a whole lot more sense to me. What if it was managed on an individual basis, rather than as this great big giant piggy bank that everybody pays into, and then bureaucrats make the decisions around how that is administered? So that's my 2 cents on KiwiSaver. How are we going with questions? Guys? Can you hear me?
Just look at, yeah, we can hear you. I was just reading back. I think we had a visit from the lands folks. They came along and they were asking some questions about how much money Kim.com was giving us this year, and whether we had any left over from last year.
Okay. My understanding is that the money that was given to fund the party in 2014 was spent in 2014. I think you can see that pretty clearly in the financial records on the Electoral Commission website. If you go back and look, you can see what donations were brought in and what expenses went out. So the answer is no, there was not money left over. I don't think there was intended to be. I think it was the funding agreement was only for the period of that campaign. So we have survived on member funds since, the party has, and presently we are crowdfunding. So if you guys don't want us to be funded by a millionaire, then get along to our website, internet.org.nz, and give us whatever you can to help to support this campaign. Because if you want us to be financially strong, but you don't want us to be funded, somewhere along there, we need you to help us to make that happen. So please do donate. There's a donate button really clearly in the header of internet.org.nz.
Yeah, and while you're on our website, also check out what you can help us with on our needs page. we do need a few things that aren't necessarily money. And so if you can help out in any way, we've got a new section of our website called Needs. We've got social needs, we've got media team needs, the tech team has needs. Certainly, if you gave me some more money, I'd get a mouse that didn't click as much as this one. Our ground crew.
I need a hairdresser, but I don't think we put that on the needs page.
No, I need to put a few more. Our ground crew has some needs that are coming real soon, and certainly, as we mentioned, we have funding needs. Pure and simple, money increases the visibility of our campaign, and we are entirely dependent currently on your generosity to make it happen. So, the more you can put in, the more we can put out. Anyone in the world can, except other governments, according to the rules, can contribute up.
No corporations, but any citizen.
Private citizens can donate up to 1,500 New Zealand dollars, and you can certainly help us out by doing that. There's a bunch of rules if you're going to donate us your entire Bitcoin cash, but certainly there's a link to those on our website. And yes, certainly if you want to submit some money to us anonymously via the Electoral Commission, they're more than willing to take your money and not tell us where it came from. So yeah, just get into it. Currently on our donate page, we only have Bitcoins listed, but certainly we can open up any wallet you like. We've got about 600 coins you can use, and certainly we had some GHDs. No good with the acronyms, but they had gold in them, and they were golden. They were awesome. Thank you, guys. I just geek out every time we get a few dollars, so it's fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, I know that Josh Rich is quite big on it. He's big on the cryptocurrency side. So probably me and Josh will look at campaigning on the Bitcoin forums and see how that goes.
Cool. So, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys want me to go through every single one of these, because we could probably be talking for the next 5 or 6 hours quite easily. Maybe I'll just go through the headings, right? Which is, again, black is what's already there. Red is what we're looking at implementing. Blue in this case is the government has this like more general science and innovation portfolio rather than technology, whereas ours are all pretty much technology focused. So we were thinking, do we need to split off and have a separate science? We're very innovation heavy in some of our other areas. We do have a digital innovation portfolio specifically, but do we need to have a separate science portfolio? Which would probably make sense going forward. Though again, I'm not sure if it will happen in the next couple of months. Okay, and then we have education, which there's actually there's no prospective new policies surrounding education at the moment. So if you want to get on and you have some ideas and you want to contribute some, then please do that by all means. Environment, we have a ton of
still not free. Education's still not free. We still don't have decent national standards, and there's a whole bunch there that really needs fixing in this country. So let's update New Zealand, especially in education.
National standards is a complete disaster for teachers. I covered some of the teachers union actions, and I know that national standards has been a complete and total disaster for them. And I know that once again we've got declining performance statistics for students in New Zealand, as well as declining participation amongst teachers. There are not enough new teachers coming on board, and there's less of them every year, so that's not cool. When the teachers are miserable and the students aren't performing well, it is a pretty serious indictment on the performance of the government. Okay, so really this just goes on and on. As you can see me scrolling through them, there's a breakdown like this for every single portfolio that we have. And then there is a separate document that I was going to show you. So just bear with me for a sec and I will dig that out. It's basically the metrics on the policy so far. Okay, so this is back as of 4th of May. just so you have some idea.
One
this
of
is
our
not
tech needs
entirely up
is
to
a
date.
laptop screen, a laptop stand for Susie, so her screen doesn't jump as much every time she types.
Yeah, that would be really cool because I'm so ghetto that I literally have like this little tower of books under my laptop, which is what's keeping it so you guys can
It makes me
see
smile
properly.
every time. Yeah. Awesome stuff.
Number 8
Carry
wire,
on.
bro. Number 8 wire, for sure. Okay, so the portfolio status as of May 2017. So this is in purple is the number of existing policies, and black is the completed policies of those that have been done. The orange is the extracted, the red is the ones that have been suggested that we need to table in policy incubator and discuss. And then the blue ones are the entirely optional ones that we don't have to adopt at all, but are just research based on what the government currently has. And then we decided that we would work out which ones were the most important for us to start working on first. So there is the full policy list, and these are the totals. So we have 82 existing policies. And we have 27, we have 82. 82 is the total prospective number for all of our policies, once they're all fully developed. 27 is the existing policies from 2014. 3 are extracted policies from 2014 that can become their own policy. 27 are the suggestions for things that we can look at for developing new policies. And 25 are the areas based under the existing government structure. So then we voted amongst our exec amongst our policy committee as to what were the most important portfolios for us to work on and in what order. And basically it came down to education, housing, technology, economy, and health. So those are the 5 that we've been concentrating on. And that's where you see like the no more empty houses policy has come from, is directly to address that housing issue. How can we do it in a way that doesn't cost the government money, that we don't have to spend a year waiting for people to get building consents, and that then the properties aren't just bought up by the same property investors that are sitting on the 30,000 empty houses in Auckland right now. So that's what we're really looking for, is solutions that actually don't cost any more money. They just require policy change and some innovation in terms of how they can be implemented. So if you guys want to hear more about No More Empty Houses policy, I'm totally happy to talk about it on the stream. So just ask some questions and I'll go right through it with you, the whole idea and the concept, which I shouldn't be doing because the policy video, the promotional video about the policy is not out yet. However, if you are clever enough,
there you go.
If you're clever enough to get on our live streams, then you will find out information that has not been officially released yet.
Yeah, and speaking of things that haven't been released yet, we've got Idiom Axiom, who was the guy that asked all the questions early on, joined our policy incubator. He's now asking how he becomes a candidate. So we've really sold in the stream. Anyway, so we'll certainly have an entire pitch coming soon for the candidates, and we will have an official launch of our candidates intake coming soon. So stand by for the bat signal. I was going to say, awesome. So what else is happening?
Liam asked,
there you go, Blake.
How is your leader going to be effective in Parliament if she is in exile in Russia?
Well, funnily enough, if I'm in Parliament, then I won't be in Russia, because if you are elected into Parliament, you are entitled to all kinds of unbelievable things that average New Zealanders are not entitled to. And that's a whole separate conversation in and of itself that I would like to have, because having found out the types of things that politicians are in fact entitled to, I think if the average New Zealander understood the full extent of it, because believe me, it's not just a salary, they would be quite shocked. But if you elect me, if we get 5% and I'm in Parliament, the government is not going to be able to stalk me and hurt me and hunt me and harass me, or to outsource that happening. I'm going to have enough visibility that I'm going to be able to be safe and that I'm going to be able to do my job. So
And you
they
have
would
some of
have
those
to
cool
provide me with
DPS
security.
boys wandering around after you.
Exactly. They would be obliged to provide me with security, with government security. They would be obliged to make sure that I had safe housing in Wellington. And it would go a long way towards fixing the problems that have caused me to have to leave New Zealand and the reasons why I'm here in the first place. So if you genuinely care about me being in Russia, you would be actively gung-ho about helping me to come home safely, so that I can live and work and not be persecuted for my political opinions. So that's the easy answer to that, is if we're in Parliament, I won't be in Russia.
Awesome.
And I was just actually.
And thanks for your question, Lynn. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's one I get all the time.
Right. Any further questions? I'm quite keen to head off to bed, but and I'm manning the Facebook. So if there's any more questions on the Facebook end, I'm keen to know. We still have a good 8 people really into it.
Yeah. Feel free to shoot the questions away.
Yeah. So let's just open it up.
It's all about transparency.
Cool. And I just fast forward to the end of the stream, and awesome. So we've been going for a good hour. This has been a good chat, Damon. It was a great idea bringing policy into it.
What? Oh my God, this has to be a troll.
Who's trolling?
This has to be a troll.
Reactions live, right?
This has to be a troll. Oh my
come
God.
on, share what you're seeing.
What are you saying?
This has to be a troll.
Who's a troll?
Sorry. I can't believe what I'm saying. You guys know who Senator Ludlam is, right?
No, I don't.
Vaguely.
Senator Ludlam is
Googling it.
He is an amazing, incredible Green Party MP in the actually he's a senator. He's in the Australian.
Oh right, Scott Ludlam.
Scott Ludlam, correct. Look at this.
Former politician from Australia, member of the Greens, senator to the.
Look at this tweet.
Deputy leader of the Greens.
Can you guys see that?
Oh yeah. So that was breaking news this morning. Interesting, eh?
How on earth does that mean he has to resign? And how do we recruit him for Internet Party? How do we recruit him for Internet Party? He's brilliant. He's incredible. He was just on that WBAI series that was on some time back that's been doing all the shows about Julian and about WikiLeaks. It's a really great series. Randy Credico. It's with a New York City radio station, Free Speech Radio. And a really incredible series of shows. They just did Barrett Brown and Scott Ludlam on Tuesday. I'm literally shocked by that. Hopefully, they won't put him in the detention centre with the 176 Kiwi citizens that are currently in Australian detention centres. And yes, I'm joking, but still. Okay, so where were we at? Joe, are you still with us, or are you already snoring?
No, he's not snoring. He's just muted. He forgot that he was muted. And here I was making all these witty comments, and I was muted. It always happens. Since we're switching into sort of casual end of the night mode, I suppose I can turn on video and say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm in a t-shirt. I'm not as awesome as I usually are. I didn't go to all the trouble of putting on makeup." And it's awesome. It's awesome to have you guys all here. For some of you that are really close at following things, you will have noticed that my name appears a few more places on the website, including on some of these images. For example, this one here. It says it's now authorized by Jay Booth, and that's because Joe Booth right here is now the Internet Party secretary as well as the technical director. I like piling these hats on, and I'm determined to bring the party. Yeah, it's awesome. So while we're pimping things, have you got your mug back?
Yeah, when can we get our hash update NZ mug? That's what I want to know.
Well, funding is coming, and we've just allocated some budgets towards our. So we got some money from the Electoral Commission for advertising. Not as much. What is it? Not millions. We got about 50 grand, was it?
The National Party
So
over a million.
we're going. Yeah, I know.
Along.
Yeah, but they got a few more votes than us, right? So I'm sure we can print at
They
least
also
2
get
mugs from
more
that.
media than us, but that's another story too.
I'm sure we can print a few mugs that have hash update NZ on them.
Like 3D print.
Ooh.
3D
Yeah, we
printing,
could
that would
run
be
the
great.
3D printers.
When I was in Berlin, I spent time at a really awesome 3D printing place where a lot of really cool stuff was getting done. Very, very cool. A lot of the Chaos Computer Club guys that I worked alongside in Berlin are all very, very, very into 3D printing. Oh, are there any more questions, you guys?
How come you guys can see comments and people that we can't? Facebook comments. It's because we're live on Facebook as well as YouTube. So you YouTubers that have a Facebook login can go and jump across. Yes, so this is what happens when you're running 2 separate communities. Yeah. How do
Comment from Liam.
Yep.
He says about that guy you were looking at on Twitter. He has to resign because the Australian Constitution bans dual citizens from standing for office.
Well, there you go.
Amazing to me that when his dual citizenry is Anzac, that they would hold that against him. Really incredible. But that's just my personal opinion.
So he left.
He's
when
been
he
one
was
of the most progressive voices in the Australian Parliament, which is not at all a progressive parliament. So it's pretty incredible that he's had to resign. Really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to go find it, wasn't I? So
the New Zealand. Can anyone on the stream? Sorry to interrupt, Joe. Can anyone on the stream, if you guys want to be our awesome research crew, I'd be very interested to know if New Zealand. I mean, I'm not a dual citizen, but if New Zealanders could be a dual citizen, for example, could Scott Lidlam now run in New Zealand? That would be a huge question. I'd love to know the answer. But go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just trying to find the right window amongst all the millions on my desktop, so I could share the YouTube in the Facebook and the Facebook in the YouTube. You know, the every day we try this Inception thing, and sometimes it works. Anyway, sorry, I'm just geeking out. Ignore me.
It's all good. I just made you host, so you're more than welcome to screen share, and it would be quite cool for people to see what it is that's actually going on behind the scenes.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I can show you all the complexities of trying to manage 3 streams at once. If I share my entire desktop, as my wife always tells me never ever to do live. So I'm watching the stream right here, and you can see when I talk it says my name, and when she talks it says her name, and it's just awesomeness. On Facebook, you can go. Where's the heart's gone? Anyway, on Facebook you can go. This is awesome, but I can't because I'm logged in as the wrong person. So if I go over to this page over here, and you can see it happening actually live on YouTube. See, there's me right there. Slightly delayed. Anyway, so geeking out, and there you go. You got a picture of my screwdriver, because I put the phone back in the cradle, and we're about 15 seconds late there. Anyway, what I'm using for this is a great little tool called OBS. It's and I can switch between. Whoa, that's cool. I suppose I'm sharing the sharing. It's just put Susie into like a jittery mode. Wow, that's just epic. Anyway.
That's classic.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, sharing a share of a share is what we like to do. It breaks the technology.
Hey, my
all
painting
around.
looks good.
Yeah. What else was I surfing tonight? Oh yeah, so we were trying to find. We were going through our policies, and I think someone was trying to find. Oh come on, socially just. Our marijuana policy. So we are socially just and inclusive, and we do have a policy on various things. And as we said, we're coming soon with the rest of them. Yes, there was a side channel coming along, and yes, I did invite Lands to come and troll us, which is why they came and trolled us. It's awesome. I do love our trolls. Yeah, sorry, you're right. And yeah, once Lumio fixes the tagging, I'm sure we'll be able to. Oh, there you go. They've fixed it already. See, this is what happens when you live stream stuff that's based on open source software, and people are listening. Anyway, so you can go through and like I do, I come along and I go, France needs to have a tag. What are we going to tag this as? And if I get the wrong one, I encourage you to, what's it, economy? Maybe it's just you can't tag. Oh, I don't know what's happening. That's crazy. I know.
Joe?
It's because it's your thread. You don't own me. Anyway, go on.
Is that why? Does the owner have to tag it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't own your thread.
Joe, take us, while you're already there with our website, take us through the needs page really quick so people can see it, because it's very new and I don't think a lot of people know it's there.
All right. And see, I'm such a nerd, so all these ones were created by our loving designer who likes things to look nice and clean and pretty. But I came along and I created the needs page, and while I was there, I added some hover text. We have needs, help us out. Totally not permitted by anyone. And our world page says, help take Internet Party International, because I just like hover text. I like my extra little geeky bits. So yes, Internet Party needs ways that you can help make us more awesome, because I think we're pretty awesome. We try pretty hard. Yeah, from a simple follow, like, or share to really mucking in and getting your hands dirty, there are countless ways you can contribute to this campaign. And I'm just going to double check that I am. True, I'm sharing the screen, which means I'm sharing the screen, but I'm not actually sharing the screen to YouTube, because I'm not. I'm not sure. So yes, sorry, YouTube, you won't be able to see what I'm looking at because it's broken. Anyway, we have a bunch of needs, and if I zoom out, you can see it's responsive as well. Sorry, I'm just getting way too geeked. Social. Follow us on all our accounts. We've got way more than this. So if you need a few more, there's the Google+, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube. Certainly retweet us, hashtag us, like us, and when you're on the Facebooks, then certainly send us some loves, because we like our loves, right? And we are looking for a bunch of social media volunteers to help share stuff and share our stuff with the world. On the media team, we are looking for a whole bunch of people to help us respond to all the requests from media. Scheduling interviews, doing things. It's a busy campaign. Live blogging and live tweeting. If you're sitting in the audience, as you can see in some of our channels, moderators and people helping out with us, because we're concentrated on talking to you, and we forget that you're also talking to us, because we're new to this, right? So if you're keen to support us, some of our best times are where was my best times thing? There was a good illustration earlier of really good times with the internet party I was sharing. Anyway, memes and stuff. I love what you guys come up with. Some of the stuff that isn't authorized by me is just awesome. So let's make it happen. The tech team does have a few needs, mainly infrastructure at the moment. We're looking for somewhere to put our server, rack space and connectivity. And certainly we have funding needs, as we talked about earlier. Our ground crew is getting established, and they will have live Snapchats from the ground. It'll be awesome. So yeah, check us all out. And I think that's probably about me.
Cool. Okay, thank you so much for that, Joe. So next steps are, we have put through the spec for the live page. So at the moment, if you click on the live page on the website, it just kicks you straight to our YouTube channel and our YouTube lives. But we will have a carousel of all of our past streams where you can go through and watch everything in sequential order if you want to. And you can go back and see our release of our strategic plans for the campaign, or also some video shorts that we've done based on things that have happened in the streams. So on the last stream we did, it was pretty cool. One of our supporters sent through a video of him watching us on 4K. And that was pretty awesome to see ourselves on this giant screen for the first time. So definitely the meme generation and stuff is really cool. If you want to make some memes of us, of our party, of our policies, and send them through to us, we would really love that. We'd get a kick out of that. And we'd definitely share them on social media. Cool. And then next, we have got the candidates section coming out. Now, I can't say too much about that because there's a lot of preparation that's gone into that. But we will be putting out our call very shortly for candidates for our list. So if you are interested in becoming a candidate for the party, you could jump on the contacts page right now and see the address that is already there for you to email through. I'm pretty sure it's on the candidates page, Joe. But there's an email address specifically for that person. If you want
both
to send
of the above.
Cool.
So yeah, certainly yell out.
Yeah, so if you want to, be ahead of the curve, go for it. Certainly some people already have. We've had a handful of people already apply to be candidates. But the full details and the promo video and all the other good stuff that's coming with that will be out sometime soon. I'm sure we'll do another stream to go through all of that as well. So I think we're all good for today. Thank you guys for joining us. Are there any questions outstanding? Because I do want to answer everything that people want to ask us.
There was one, I think, on YouTube, I think, it's saying there was, would the housing policy include fixing up older houses to livable standards?
If this relates to rental properties and the rental health check that's been proposed by other parties, is that what that's about? If so, yes, housing should be of a livable standard. And I know firsthand that some of the standards of rental properties are way subpar. There are people who have leaking taps and who are being forced to pay the water bills for them because their landlords won't fix the taps or pay them for the increased water charges. I know there are properties that don't have access to essential services at all. There's clearly people living in garages and all kinds of subpar conditions. So I don't think we have an existing, because the housing portfolio is actually a new portfolio for us. Yeah. And so far, no more empty houses is the first policy that we've developed for that portfolio. So I would say...
And certainly as part of that policy, we're looking at what we can do to make these empty houses more usable, more livable, and open them up to people. So yeah, that might actually answer the original question.
That would be a great question to raise on the Lumio and to have people discuss, because I think most people don't have the luxury of owning their own home and are thereby affected by this issue. So if you want to go put your 2 cents in on that on the Lumio, that would be an awesome discussion to raise. Really good one. Any other questions?
Speaking of policies being raised, Idiom Axon, who just joined our Lumio and asked about being a candidate, has started a thread on equal university access. He says only half as many boys enroll at university as girls. Why is this, and what can we do to improve it? I was at Vic today, and they were hosting a tech girl event, and it was just like an entire place full of really cool, geeky girls. I had a brief chat with them while I was having lunch, as you do. But
every single one of those girls will be told, there are no girls on the internet. Well, I can tell you, there are definitely girls on the internet. They might not want to let you know that they're girls, or they might let you know that they're girls, but there are definitely girls on the internet. I'm one of them. In regards to the question of like more girls joining university than boys, maybe the boys have a lot of pressure around income at certain ages, especially if they have children or other things. But also, there are some career paths. Technology is one of them. Okay, in my IT experience, in my professional experience, I would tell my contractors, don't go to university. If you're in university, leave university and go straight into getting professional work experience. And the reason that I would tell them this is because what they learned at university, by the time they got out of university, was largely defunct. But what they learned commercially and getting commercial work experience was extremely valuable and converted into income immediately. So if you have 6 months even commercial experience as a software development contractor, you are worth good money. If you have 2 years or 3 years of professional work experience, you are worth big money. If you have 5, 10 years of experience, you are worth well into the 6 figures and above. So it doesn't make economic or commercial sense for people to go into tech in university unless they really have no experience in tech whatsoever and really need the like core skill set. So that would be my professional advice to those people. In terms of managing their career, they would be much better off having work experience, because the situation you see all the time in IT, especially in hiring and recruitment, is that people won't hire graduates. If you just go and do a computer science degree, you are not employable. But if you have even 6 months commercial experience, you're employable. You can get that junior developer role, you can get that intermediate developer role. So people would get in situations where they owe all this money for their degree and they actually can't get a job. So now that's not how things should be. Things shouldn't be like that. But that's the reality for that particular industry.
I went through I did my degree in computer science, as all the boys do, right? These days it's a lot more fun, but back in my day I escaped as soon as I could. 3 years and I was out of there. I wasn't going to become a professional student, and I was working throughout in another field, non-IT, and which is where I stayed. And so it totally backs up your theory. What you work in becomes what you do, and the longer you spend at university, I don't know. So I do know some professional students. They've been 8 or 9 years and now tutoring. University becomes a way of life. But I encourage you, get out into the workforce and make it happen. Don't get stuck in one job. Just have a look around, because the world is constantly changing, and if you're changing with it, you're on the good wave. Anyway,
there are people who just love the university lifestyle and who
totally
never leave for that reason. They become tutors, eventually they go on and become senior tutors or whatever. They love it and they stay there. So I'm not telling people don't go to university. I'm just saying that there are situations where it's not commercially viable for you to spend years studying that you could spend earning and come out of that with debt that you wouldn't otherwise have. And tech is kind of an anomaly in that way, shape or form. I think also the trades are another situation where you'll see guys going directly into apprenticeships and learning on the job rather than necessarily going and doing tertiary education around that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think you need a mix of both. Colin,
you're buzzing again, Dave.
You need a new jack for your mic very badly.
Sorry, no, all good as a buzz, man. You need to learn New Zealand Sign Language.
Or you can master the wonders of onboard sound like me and not use a mic at all.
I can't not have
Your
a microphone
host,
and
we can
headset
mute
on.
him. We can mute him.
It scares me. I use the Bluetooth ones when I get stuck. I am host, and I can mute him, can't I?
Sorry,
but,
Damon.
But yeah, what we should do, he's muted himself. What we should do is wrap the stream up because we're starting to ramble, right? And it was a cool time.
Soon
and
we'll be
and it was
older.
and my entire house is asleep now, and it's full of little kids snoring. So that's awesome. So good night, New Zealand, and I'll go and check my world time clock. And hello, afternoon, Russia. And we don't have the UK with us at the moment, but certainly it's awesome to see all you people come out
from around the world
and
have stopped
join
in
us.
today.
Yeah, join us as we ramble. I'd just like to say, looking at the stream stats, there's been more views of this, but less reach than my one. Policy has more views. People care more about policy. But, when they see hashtag on Facebook, they all come running, right?
I think Sunday afternoon, everyone's shattered after the weekend and hanging out on Facebook. And I think Friday night, most people are out having a life. That's my take
true.
on it.
And yeah,
but I'm impressed. We simulcast. We covered off all the content that we wanted to. We answered a whole bunch of questions from you guys. So I think we've done pretty well. And thanks
awesome
you guys
stuff.
for participating. And thank you to the moderators for moderating for us. That's really, really helpful. Really helpful.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you soon.
It's been awesome. And so we can all jump on video and wave good night. Good night. See ya. Bye. And I'm going to hit stop.